have not gotten enough of our members to get to yes at this point under what we're currently considering. However, I would say progress is being made.
That is North Carolina's Congressman Mark Meadows, chair of the conservative House Freedom Caucus, after the meeting yesterday with President Donald Trump. It's been a full court press in the last 48 hours to get Republicans to get behind the health care bill, the repeal and replace of the Affordable Care Act, but it has not been going so well. 30 or so members right now say they are opposed or leaning no against the bill, and that's a problem because without those votes, they don't have the necessary number, primarily because they refuse to even negotiate with Democrats. And so they need all the votes in the Republican caucus to get this through. Now, lots of meetings, a flurry of meetings. Trump sent Steve Bannon and Rice Priebus, as well as Kellyanne Conway, to Capitol Hill, trying to convince Republicans they need to get in line. And he has now thrown down the gauntlet, telling them point blank that if the members do not vote for this law, he is moving on, and even said he will be taking down names of the individuals who choose not to vote for this. The Koch brothers, they've gotten involved in this. Their network, they've announced that any Republican who Trump targets in terms of re-election next year, they will set aside at least $1 million for each one of those races to help them with re-election. Lord, this conservative crime is just rough, ain't it? Let's break this thing down with Congresswoman Alma Adams of North Carolina. Congresswoman, your colleague from your delegation there, the conservative Mark Meadows, they've been pushing and pushing and pushing, trying to get all of these changes. The CBO also, Congressional Budget Office, released a new score of the bill. Earlier, they said that it was going to have a $300 billion decrease on the deficit. Now, that's less than half of that. It's also showing premiums are going to rise, and new polling comes out. 56% of Americans are against the Republican health care bill. 17% are for the health care bill. And then there are more people who want to keep the Affordable Care Act who support this bill. Things ain't looking too well for Republicans.
Well, they aren't looking well, and we'll have to see today whether or not they have the votes. I personally don't think they do, but Mark Meadows is leading his group, and I support the fact that we might still have to continue with the Affordable Care Act. I think it's been a great thing, certainly for the people in my district and across this country. It's been an interesting time, and today I think we'll see what the end's going to be.
Joining us on the phone is Congresswoman from Illinois, Robin Kelly, chair of the Congressional Black Caucus Health Brain Trust. Congresswoman Kelly, again, when you look at what is happening here, Republicans are fighting back and forth. You've got moderates who say they cannot support this bill. It is too treacherous. It hurts too many people. You have conservatives who say they want even more cut out of it. And so you have this battle going on, and now you have President Donald Trump, who acts like he doesn't want to be bothered with any of it. He's trying to get it off of his plate.
Well, he's not used to losing, and I think he thought he could just say, this is what I want, and it was going to happen, and everybody was going to fall in line. But he's not used to, you have to work with more than yourself. There's a House and a Senate you have to work with.
Well, actually, he is used to losing because he's filed bankruptcy a whole lot of times. Congresswoman Adams, I got to ask you, again, there was no effort on the part of Republicans to even sit down with Democrats on this. They rushed this thing through. I mean, literally, we haven't even reached, the third month of a presidency, and they're already trying to do this when it was a long process, more than a year, with President Barack Obama trying to push forward health care legislation.
Well, I think that's why they're at the point that they are. First of all, they're not going to pass anything out of here anyway without Democrat support. We can't support it. We're standing together as Democrats. I think they're doing a disservice to all of our communities by not allowing us to be involved. But, I think it's going to be a disaster for them either way. And like I said, we're going to wait and see what the end's going to be today. We're prepared to stay all weekend if we have to.
Congresswoman Kelly, in many ways, it would be helpful for Democrats, frankly, if this did pass, and here's why. Because then it's dead on arrival in the United States Senate.
Right.
You would have all of this fighting back and forth over what the Senate will do. Will they even consider it? Will it pass? And so it looks like Trump, he would frankly love for this thing to fail because it would get off of his plate. But I keep making the point, sorry, you can't escape that easy. This would be a massive failure by the man who's supposedly this great negotiator. He can't even negotiate his own party to a victory.
Exactly. Oh, no, this would be a massive failure. And actually, there's a part of me, of course, I don't want it to pass. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. No one thought the AHCA was a perfect bill. Sit down, let's discuss how we can make it better instead of what they're doing now. But I want to see what Republicans are going to walk that plank. And if there's some in Illinois, they are definitely giving us grits for the mill to make sure they don't come back to Congress.
Last question for both of you, and I'll start with you, Congresswoman Kelly. There are issues with the Affordable Care Act. It is not a perfect bill. Many Democrats say there are things that need to be changed. What specifically would you like to see changed or fixed with the existing law?
Well, for me, I hear from my small businesses and from my farmers. I have 1,200 farms in my district. So I want to see how we can work with them as far as deductibles and as far as what premiums are so that, they're not getting rid of employees to be able to pay the bill. So I want to see what we could do for small businesses. And I'm saying farmers because my district is urban, suburban, and rural.
Congresswoman Adams.
Well, I sit on the Small Business Committee, and here we have a number of small businesses in North Carolina. They're saying the same things. We want to be able to provide insurance for our employees. We don't want them to have to pay an excessive amount. So I think we can provide some support for these businesses to give. Not only we can give them incentives, but there's a way to fix it. Roland, if you have a crack in the wall, you don't tear the whole wall down. You fix those cracks, and I think that there's some cracks that we can fix. And I think that's going to make it better for everyone.
All right, Congresswoman Alma Adams, we appreciate it. Congresswoman Robin Kelly, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Again, folks, as I said, the vote today should take place around 3 p.m. That's when it is scheduled. Doesn't mean that it will happen. The vote was supposed to be on yesterday. It was supposed to take place on yesterday. But again, because the votes were not there, they postponed it. They postponed that particular vote. Now, here's one of the issues Republicans are also facing. They're getting a ton of phone calls from their constituents saying, do not vote for this particular bill. In fact, what we have seen, some members have been saying upwards of 2,000 and 3,000 calls have been saying vote against it. 30 to 40 have been saying vote for it. And so they're facing a lot of that heat. But also what you're seeing right now with this White House. President Trump's trying to wash his hands of this bill. New York Times is reporting this morning that they're saying that, oh, no, the real issue here is really we didn't want to do this bill. We wanted to do tax reform, but we followed Speaker Paul Ryan down this path. And so, it's all on him. That's not how this thing works, President Trump. You can't just blame everybody else when something doesn't work. You got to suck this thing up because guess what? It's your party, it's your House, it's your Senate, it's your White House. And so it ain't that simple. Let's break this thing down with our panel. First off, we have Rashad Robinson, of course. He is the Executive Director of ColorChange.org. Barbara Arnwine, Founding President, Transformative Justice Coalition. Shermichael Singleton, Republican Political Consultant. Well, we'll talk to you later about your long stint at HUD under Donald Trump. And also Pastor Shannon Wright, Third Vice Chair, Maryland Republican Party, and host of Right Way with Shannon and Mike. All right, y'all. Also joining us via Skype in Brooklyn, Kiara Kelly, staff writer for Interactive One site, hellobeautiful.com. And so, Shermichael, I'll start with you. Dude, what the hell?
I mean, look, I think that Speaker Ryan was not prepared to whip the number of votes necessary to pass this piece of legislation.
Man, y'all had 8 years!
I'm not disagreeing with that, Roland, but look, there are clearly various ideological positions as it pertains to health care on the Republican side. And I think instead of rushing this thing, as Cotton said in the Senate, they should have taken their time. We have time. I would have focused probably on infrastructure. You would have probably got more support, even from Democrats, on focusing on the economy versus health care. I would have saved that to last.
But, Pastor, right, you couldn't do that when all we heard, the first thing we're going to do is repeal the Affordable Care Act. The first thing we're going to do is get rid of Obamacare on day one. And the White House can't try this crap because Vice President Mike Pence was out there saying the exact same thing. And then he kept saying, first thing. And so Trump can't all of a sudden say, oh, this is not me. This is not me.
Well, I think that's exactly what he should have done, because there's no way that you should take an issue as important as health care and rush it through. It needs to be correct, not just cram down folks' throats.
But they've had 7 years where they've said, oh, we're going to repeal and replace, and all of a sudden you look up and you have nothing to repeal and replace. What the hell have they been doing for 7 years?
That I couldn't tell you. I think they've been working on it. I think that there are issues, part of it, that are fluid. You got to make sure it's right. Healthcare is so doggone important. It's not something you can just.
But they've had 7 years, Barbara. I mean, all we've heard, they took 65 votes to repeal the Affordable Care Act.
Thank you.
That's like somebody saying, look, man, I'm working on your car. I'm working on your car. Say, dog, it's been 7 years. Can I drive my car?
Right. Well, listen, this is a problem of their own creation. I mean, when you burn your own house down, it's pretty bad, especially when it's just your negligence. The reality is that the American people don't want this thing. Trump care is dead. Even if they pass it, it's a Pyrrhic victory, because they're going to pay for it terribly, because the American people are woke on this issue, and they are not going to sit back and allow this bill to take away coverage for 24 million Americans. They're not going to sit back, Roland, and allow this Congress to benefit the rich over the poor. This is not going to happen. This bill is dead, and if it's alive, it's a Frankenstein, because people are going to hold this monster accountable.
But Rashad, here's the deal. First of all, the bill is not dead. I mean, because again, with the ultimatum, again, they might all of a sudden scare the votes up, but right now, it ain't looking good.
Yeah, so I'm a New Yorker. I live in New York, and as a person who live in New York, you have to sometimes either rent an apartment. And so watching Donald Trump here, it feels like you're dealing with a broker. Like you get the apartment today, or the apartment won't be available. Somebody's coming in right after you. It feels like either car salesmanship, but not legislation. And I think like Donald Trump has been used to this thing where he can make a deal. And then the details get worked out by other people. But in legislation, the details are everything. And what we're seeing here is sort of the cracks, whether it's in the executive orders that have been repealed or have been pushed back by the courts, or the other sort of stoppages with legislation. We're seeing some really deep challenges. But I do think that part of what the Republicans were able to effectively do on the campaign trail is say Obama, right. Obamacare. It made people in certain parts of the country see this piece of legislation that they were actually experiencing as this scary thing that black man who's not really an American, who we don't like his wife either, and now, all of a sudden, they actually have to put something in place. And as Donald Trump said, who knew health care could be so complicated?
And of course, the people who didn't like it now all of a sudden love it. Kira, yesterday, Congressional Budget Office released their second scoring of this bill. They predicted that premiums will jump 15 to 20% over the next 2 years. Yet under the current law, by 2026, the premiums will be down 10%. That's a fundamental problem for Republicans when the CBO score shows that their bill will actually make health care more expensive, not less.
Yeah, I definitely think that it is a disadvantage for women of color and for women in low-income communities to have these premiums skyrocket in this way. I mean, the entire bill that they have set up totally disenfranchises a lot of people in lower-income communities. And so, I mean, it's best to keep ACA in place. When he kind of when Trump, Pontius Pilate, wiped his hands of the whole thing and kind of put the onus back on the swamp to pass it. You know, it'll work to our advantage if ACA stays in place. So,
but is that just women of color? The people who are going to be most hurt by this, according to the CBO, are really those white voters who voted for Donald Trump. Folks living in rural areas, folks in Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, North Carolina, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, all those states where he actually won, they're going to be most impacted based upon what the CBO says. Plus, it's not going to. The previous score said it would drop the deficit by $337 billion. Now it says it will lower by $150 billion. So even that win by the Republicans no longer applies.
Yeah, I mean, they cut off their own foot, to say the least. They cut off their own foot.
Want to go? So Shannon, what y'all gonna do?
I guess we'll find out at 3 o'clock.
No. You got okay right now. Will it pass? Will it pass or fail today?
I don't read the future. I guess we'll find out at 3 o'clock.
Girl, you can't. It's either a pass or fail.
We'll find out at 3 o'clock. I think I said that.
Pass or fail?
As it currently stands, they don't have enough votes.
Barbara, pass or fail?
They might pass it.
Rashad?
Today it's going to fail.
Rakira?
Fail.
All right, then. A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge police. His hands are in the air, and you still get shot by the cops.
Oh, my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We're not going to let hate define us.
Race is a big part of this.
If truly all lives matter, then all lives need to matter equally.
What we require is action. What we require is accountability. We understand that black lives do matter, and we will keep focused on this issue.
NewsOne Now, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.